I'm Valentina Ruiz, and for 3 years I kept a secret that would change my family's life forever. My in-laws thought I was a simple housewife supported by their son. They didn't know I was actually the CEO of Global Tech Solutions, the company where their perfect son worked as a mid-level manager. It all began when I met Miguel in a cafe near the office. I was in disguise, as I often did when I wanted to escape the stress of being the youngest executive running a tech company. Dressed in jeans and a simple t-shirt, no one would have guessed I was the person who appeared in business magazines. "Is this seat taken?" Miguel asked, holding his coffee. I looked up from my book and smiled. He was attractive, with kind eyes and a sincere smile. "No, go ahead." That afternoon we talked for hours. I introduced myself as Vale, a freelancer who worked from home. He told me about his job at a tech company, my company, though he didn't know it. "It's a good job," he said. "Although the CEO is quite mysterious. Nobody sees her much. She handles everything through directors." I held back a smile. If only he knew he was talking to the mysterious CEO. We started dating, and I fell in love with his honesty and kindness. Miguel was different from the men I usually met in the corporate world. He wasn't obsessed with power or money. I decided to keep my identity secret. I wanted him to love me for who I was, not for my position or my money. When he proposed 6 months later, I accepted with one condition. "I want to maintain my independence," I told him. "Keep working from home." "Of course," he replied. "Although with my salary, you don't really need to work." If only he knew that my work from home involved running a multi-million-dollar company. The problem started with his parents, Roberto and Marina. From the beginning, they made their disapproval clear. "A freelancer?" Marina said during our first family dinner. "Darling, you deserve someone with a more established career." "Miguel is a manager at Global Tech Solutions," Roberto boasted. "He needs a wife who understands his level." I bit my tongue to keep from laughing. If they only knew I signed their son's checks. We married in a small ceremony, to my in-laws' disgust, who wanted an ostentatious wedding. I bought a beautiful apartment in the city center, saying it was an inheritance from my grandmother. "Why don't you put it in Miguel's name?" Marina suggested. "After all, he's the one supporting the household." "It's my inheritance," I responded simply. "I prefer to keep it that way." For 3 years, I maintained my double life. At home, I was Vale, the wife who worked from her computer. At the office, I was Valentina Ruiz, the CEO who was taking Global Tech Solutions to new heights. Miguel never questioned my occasional absences or work calls. He was busy trying to advance in the company, not knowing that every report he prepared eventually reached my desk. He was a good employee, I must admit. He never used our relationship, though he didn't know about it, to advance. He earned each promotion on his own merit. But my in-laws were another story. With each visit, their comments became more acidic. "Still with that little computer job?" Marina would ask. "You should look for something real, dear." "Miguel works so hard," Roberto would sigh. "He deserves to come home to a well-kept house." What they didn't see were the nights I spent reviewing contracts, the international video conferences at dawn, the decisions that affected thousands of employees. Everything exploded when Miguel received a considerable bonus for his performance, a bonus I had approved myself. "It's the perfect time," Marina exclaimed during a family dinner. "You can move to a bigger house." "We're comfortable here," I replied. "Nonsense," Roberto interjected. "This apartment is too small for the family you're going to have. In fact, we have a proposal." He exchanged a look with Marina, who smiled smugly. "We want to buy this apartment," she announced. "We'll give you $10,000. It's more than fair, considering Miguel supports you." Miguel shifted uncomfortably. "Dad, I don't think." "It's a family investment," Roberto continued. "We can rent it out and use that money for the future. After all, you'll need a bigger house when children come along." I stared at them. "This apartment is worth at least 50 times that." Marina laughed condescendingly. "Dear, don't be greedy. You should be grateful. After all, what have you contributed to this marriage?" Something broke inside me. 3 years of dismissive comments, of condescension, of being treated like a kept woman. You want to know what I contributed? I opened my purse and took out my official business card, the one I normally only used in board meetings. What's this? Roberto asked, taking the card. Read it, I suggested softly. His eyes widened as he read, Valentina Ruiz, CEO, Global Tech Solutions. The silence that followed was deafening. Miguel seemed to have stopped breathing. This must be a joke, Marina stammered. It's not, I replied, taking out my phone. Would you like to see the company's financial statements? Or perhaps you'd prefer to see this apartment's purchase contract. I paid cash, by the way. Vale. Miguel was looking at me as if he'd never seen me before. Your boss?
Yes.
I'm sorry for keeping it secret, love. I wanted you to love me for myself, not my position. Roberto had gone pale. But all these years thinking I was a kept woman? A gold digger? Yes, it was quite entertaining, I must admit, especially considering I signed Miguel's checks. Marina was clutching her purse like a lifeline. But at the office, I've never seen you. Of course you've seen me. I'm the mysterious CEO everyone talks about. The one nobody sees much. I like to keep a low profile, observe how my company really works. I turned to Miguel, who was still in shock. Love, every promotion, every bonus. You earned them on your own merit. I never interfered with your career. That's why you never wanted the apartment in my name, he murmured. Among other things, I nodded. Now, about your generous offer of $10,000. Roberto raised his hands in surrender. Valentina, we didn't know. Clearly, I interrupted. But that doesn't excuse 3 years of dismissive comments, of treating your daughter-in-law like she was a burden. Do you know how much this apartment is really worth? $750,000. And that's without counting the improvements I've made. Marina looked about to faint. We just wanted the best for Miguel. No, I cut in sharply. You wanted to feel superior. You wanted a daughter-in-law you could control. Instead, you have one who could buy and sell your house 10 times over without blinking. I stood from the table, smoothing my casual dress. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a video conference with our investors in Tokyo. Miguel, love, can we talk later? Miguel nodded, still processing the revelation. My in-laws remained seated, too stunned to move. That night, after my in-laws left dragging their feet and mumbling apologies, Miguel and I had a long conversation. Why didn't you tell me before? He asked. Would you have acted naturally knowing I was your boss? Probably not, he admitted. But 3 years, Vale. I know, and I'm sorry. But I wanted to be sure what we had was real. I've had too many experiences with men who only saw my position and my money. Miguel hugged me. I love you for who you are, not for your title or your bank account. Though I must admit it's pretty sexy being married to the boss. The following days were interesting. The news spread quickly through the company. Suddenly, everyone wanted to meet the mysterious CEO who had been working among them without their knowledge. My in-laws, for their part, tried to make peace in their own way. Valentina, dear, Marina said during her next visit, her attitude completely transformed. Have you thought about investing in real estate? Roberto and I know some excellent properties. Marina, I interrupted gently, don't try to use my position for your benefit. It won't work. But we're family. Exactly. And family doesn't try to scam other family members with ridiculous offers for their properties. Roberto had the decency to blush. About that, we really are sorry. Actions have consequences, I replied. You spent 3 years treating me like I was less than you. That doesn't get erased with an apology. What can we do to fix it? Marina asked. You can start by treating all people with respect, not just those you think have money or power. You can stop judging someone's worth by their job or bank account. After that, things gradually changed. My in-laws learned to bite their tongues before making dismissive comments about others. Miguel flourished in his work, now that he didn't feel the pressure of supporting his wife. A year later, when we announced I was pregnant, Marina started making suggestions about moving to a bigger house. This apartment is small for a baby, she began. I interrupted with a smile. I already bought the entire building. We're combining the two penthouses. Oh, was all she could say. Life has an interesting way of teaching us lessons. My in-laws learned that appearances can be deceiving and that a person's true worth isn't in their title or bank account. Miguel learned that true love can flourish even in the most unusual circumstances, and that sometimes your soulmate turns out to be your boss too.
And me?
I learned that while power and success are rewarding, true happiness comes from being authentic with those you love. Now, when we have family dinners, they're very different from those first awkward gatherings. Marina no longer makes comments about my little computer job, and Roberto doesn't brag about Miguel's work at the company. Instead, we're simply a family with all our imperfections and learned lessons. And yes, I still work from home some days. Only now, when I say I have an important video call, everyone knows exactly what that means. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't humiliation or retribution. It's simply letting the truth come to light and watching how it changes people's perspectives. And as for that apartment my in-laws wanted to buy for $10,000, well, now it's the home of a family that knows true value isn't measured in money, but in respect, love, and authenticity. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much your property is worth or what your title is. What matters is being true to yourself and surrounding yourself with people who love you for who you are, not for what you have. That's a lesson worth more than any apartment. Thanks for watching. See you again in the next video. Stay stunned.